What's up, guys? Welcome back to Squigonomics. Today I'm talking about the Red Corsairs Raiders. Red Corsairs Raiders is a new Chaos Space Marines kit that came out in 2026. You get 5 dudes in the box. It's one of those elite infantry kits, looking at guys like Chosen, not quite Terminator stat-wise, but definitely Terminator price-wise. Interestingly, they literally have Red Corsairs in the unit name, so they're not just Chaos Space Marines Raiders. They are Chaos Space Marines Red Corsairs Raiders. We'll touch on that a little bit more later on in the video, but overall, this kit has really insane customization. Just taking a quick glance at the models on screen now, lots of kitbash opportunities that we get in this box. So, is it the best kitbash kit for CSM? Depends on what you're trying to do. If you like the Renegade look, the not so chaos corrupted look, maybe tax evader look, if that's kind of what you're going for, yeah, these guys are great. If you love Horus Heresy, that 30k kind of aesthetic, maybe a little more ravaged than that, but still not super chaos corrupted, these guys are awesome. And if you're like me and you're tired of that goddamn chaos trim, something about these guys' armor trim just really does it for me, dude. I love how clean it looks. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Chaos Space Marines, but actually painting the chaos trim on armor, it can be really tedious. And some of these, like the trim on these guys with just the clean straight line kind of trim, it looks really great, and I really love it. And this last one might be a little bit controversial, but I think you could use these if you want to make Loyalist veterans, something like Sternguard veterans. Maybe. We'll talk about it. And then just overall, obviously, if you like having more unique models, mixing pieces from this kit with some of your Legionaries, Chosen, yada yada, unlimited opportunities, so many different options. They're very compatible with a lot of those Legionaries and similar kits, despite what some people might tell you. So we're going to talk about it now. You're telling me the Loyalists can use this shit too? Yeah, 100%. I mean, you guys just take a look at the models. If it weren't for the skulls, these guys could totally just be Renegade Loyalist Marines. They could just be ravaged veterans, kind of circa Combi Lieutenant or whatever he's called. But yeah, I haven't seen anybody do Loyalist kit bash for these guys yet, and I don't really want to pay to do it myself. But maybe one day. They're essentially just Space Marines wearing old armor marks, full of kind of mashed together in the lore style of armor. You're talking about, and I'm not an expert on these things, but Mark 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 maybe? Maybe it wasn't 4. Either way, you're talking about a bunch of those different old school heresy armor marks kind of getting mashed together, bashed together, if you will, into these models. And then even within that, those arms are swappable, those shoulder pads are swappable, so you have a lot of options to go down. Even if you don't like the kind of chaos almost aesthetic that they're giving, you could just head swap these guys with some of your Loyalist heads, and yeah, you're kind of looking at pretty convincing Loyalist veterans. And bearing all that in mind, the elephant in the room, for anyone who's not super familiar with the kit, you don't have to use the Red Corsairs shoulder pad, actually. There's so many shoulder pads in the kit, you don't really need the Red Corsairs ones at all to make a full set of these guys. So now we're going to talk about the Red Corsairs thing. Yes, John Black Legion, Tim Alpha Legion, whoever you are, yeah, you can use these guys in your army. Even though they have Red Corsairs in the name, they're still part of the overarching Chaos Space Marines faction. They're not a wholly separate thing like your Death Guard, Emperor's Children, yada yada. These guys, they just have Red Corsairs in the name because they're kind of a flavorful unit. But despite that, you don't have to build them with any of that Red Corsairs iconography. You don't have to paint them red. You can pretty much do whatever you want with these guys. I think that they have opportunities to look really good in some non-Red Corsairs color schemes, especially if you're willing to kind of mix up on some of those colors. But yeah, like I was talking about previously, you don't have to use any Red Corsairs iconography. There's enough shoulder pads. You can make them all plain, smooth shoulder pads, or the ones with the service studs or whatever, obviously. So now we're going to talk about this. This is a scan of the instruction book that I tried to get. It's the best I could do. It's kind of lopsided, but I think you can kind of get the gist of it. And for anyone who's still with me that didn't pause yet, just if you want to get a closer look at them, I'm going to just zoom in on the next slide to give you a closer look once I'm done kind of rambling here. But there's 5 dudes in the box, and this is what you get for one 5-man squad, which is crazy if you really look at it. We're talking about 14 heads. 5 of those are helmeted heads. I think number 19 up there, it's kind of too chaos looking, despite being a helmeted head, to be used in a Loyalist setting. But that guy in 81, very chaos coded. But the rest of them could just be like ravaged veterans for Loyalists if that's the route you kind of wanted to go down. And I think that it's great that they allow so much customization within a kit like this. And then looking at the shoulder pads down there, 16 shoulder pads for 5 dudes. That means you only need 10 shoulder pads for 5 dudes. So they're giving you way more than you need here. I think 6 of them are Red Corsairs ones. Yeah, 6 of them are. So if you don't want the Red Corsairs ones, you don't have to use them, but it won't leave you with any extra bits. What I did for mine personally, I used the Red Corsairs ones on the Red Corsairs, and then I took the rest of the shoulder pads and I used them on Legionaries just for kitbashability to kind of mix things up. Now, the one thing that I haven't heard anyone really talk about with this kit is that you get a sneaky 6th power pack in the box, just because there's one with like a, I don't know what you'd call it, kind of like a piece of cloth over the top, and you don't have to use that one. So they have a 6th one, which I think is pretty rare for most Marine kits, at least in my experience. Between the Loyalist ones and the Chaos ones that I've bought, extra backpacks are kind of hard to come by. And then I'm not going to touch so much on the weapons in the kit, but you do have a lot of great options. There are bolters, chainswords. You get a power fist and a melta. I think an inferno pistol as well, which is only, I think it only has compatibility with this kit, at least like rules wise. There's no other Chaos Marine that can take an inferno pistol, but it's here nonetheless. So if you wanted to make like a flavorful character of some kind, totally a bit you can take. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and give you that zoomed in shot. I'm just going to kind of, while you guys take a look at this, I'm just going to ramble about some of my favorite ones on here. 104, peak. Absolutely peak. A beaky, it's peak, dude. I would have been upset if this kit didn't have one, and I'm so grateful that it does. But yeah, so we're looking at like 63, 82, 49, 104. Those are just modern, like freshly sculpted Heresy era helmets. And they look phenomenal. And then a lot of those heads, they have like kind of crazy haircuts and some scarring. But I don't necessarily think that that's indicative of chaos either. So if you want to use these bits for Loyalist kit bashing, 100% go for it. My favorite of the heads, funny enough, is probably 18, that first one. It's very simple, but he looks just like a grizzled thug. Like, he's so tough, dude. So I love that head. And then shoulder pads, obviously, you have a lot of those just like plain, smooth shoulder pads from the Heresy era. And then we're also looking at stuff like the service studs. You got 3 of those shoulder pads with the service studs. One with that kind of like cloth cape thing going on, which is, I guess it's cool. Not for everybody. But fortunately, if you're willing to go with even just your champion character, or whatever they're called for the squad, with a Red Corsairs icon, then you don't have to use that one if you don't necessarily want to do the cloth thing either. But we're going to move on now. Talking about all those pieces, you can absolutely use them to transform legionaries without any difficulty. So for me, I think looking at kit bashing, I'm no stranger to kit bashing. I've done plenty of green stuff and Sprue goo kind of kit bashes, but I think that it's amazing when Games Workshop makes these kits where you can just swap the heads, the shoulders, and the arms, because it really lowers the barrier of entry for having a unique army for players who or hobbyists that don't necessarily have all of that kit bashing experience. Some people, I won't argue with them, they say that the Raiders are much bigger, like scale wise, than traditional Legionaries or even Chosen. I think it's true. They're much taller. However, the shoulder pads and the heads still perfectly equally compatible with Legionaries, and you can use some of even the spare bits like the backpacks or the cute little the little belts and decorations and crap like that on the Legionaries, no problem. And when it comes to the arms, as long as you're kind of sneaky about the way that you do it, don't make the most outstretched arm on the littlest Legionary. But I've thrown a few of the Raider arms on Legionaries, and they look just fine. Like, in the scale of the grand scheme of the whole model, they look great. And then if you don't really like the Chosen models, I think these guys are great. We'll talk a little bit more about varying Space Marine, Chaos Space Marine units in a second here. Chaos Space Marine problem. I say problem. It's a little bit baity, to be honest. It's not really a problem because at the end of the day, this is exactly what Loyalists have and deal with. But we have a few units now that are pretty much only visually distinguishable by their weapon loadout, which for a long time I feel like was not the case. Like, you'd look at a Possessed and you'd know, and a Terminator and you'd know. Chosen, maybe. And then a lot of people just say, you want Chosen? Just buy Legionaries and throw extra bits on them. You're getting way more cost-efficient Chosen, which they're right. But it just leads to a lot of confusion in terms of what they look like. And then if you're not playing WYSIWYG, which I do it for myself, for my own collection, but I don't care what anyone else does in the way of WYSIWYG. But you've got your 3 units here, Legionaries, Chosen, Red Corsairs, Raiders. They look just like dudes. There's nothing special about them. They're not wearing Terminator armor. They don't have gigantic mutated limbs. They're kind of just dudes, which is kind of how Loyalists operate. But I think the problem being Their weapons aren't as visually distinct, which some people wouldn't call it a problem because it just means they're more Kitbash compatible. And before we move on, just while we're here, I'm just going to talk about the Red Corsairs upgrade sprue. I'm thinking about making a different video about the price of upgrade sprues, but I am very happy to just kind of gush over how pretty this one is and how great these bits are. Those 5 heads, they're awesome. I'm not personally a fan of the like half mask marine heads, so I didn't use that one. But the other ones, those are just hardened veterans. They're awesome. And then those chain swords too. It's very much giving salvaged armor, tough guy chainsword, like really good stuff. And then those shoulder pads, they are less like the Raider shoulder pads and more like the Legionary shoulder pads in terms of design aspects. Same thing with the Terminator ones, and I think they look great. There's really nothing I could say bad about any of those, except that I don't necessarily love all the little gubbins. That's just a me thing. I like having little gubbins on guys. And I'm going to just revisit the concept of Chosen really quickly. I think that it's kind of frustrating when you start getting duplicate, unique little gubbins because they start looking less and less unique. And it leaves you with less room for customization. It's kind of like a bell curve, if you will. 0, infinite customization. 1 is peak. And then 2, you're kind of flopping on customization. It's you know what I mean. Pretty good kit. I'm a pretty big fan of it. I'm just not a fan of the price tag. So these Red Corsairs Raiders, they are pirates. So yeah, they are stealing your shit. $65 US to be exact. It's kind of a lot of money. Now I know compared to something like Chosen, actually it's just totally fine, totally normal deal. And I would argue that these guys, you're kind of getting better value than with Chosen, at least in terms of bits and kit bashing and customization and stuff like that. But I totally get it if the aesthetic is not for you. So what did we learn? Can't have shit in the maelstrom. The kit's great, but you just shouldn't buy 5 of these dudes for $65. If you really, really, really think that you need the box, especially because I was just gushing over it, I would say probably just try to buy one of the combo boxes. They're like arguably better deals, and I'm not really like a mathematician or a scientist, so I'm not going to go super into detail about that. But they're always at a discount at the very least compared to buying all the units separately. And if you're watching this video and you're a Chaos fan, you can just kit bash your stuff, dude. Whatever extra stuff you get in that box, you could just kit bash it. I think that the Battle Force box is mostly sold out, kind of across the board now. But this is the Combat Patrol, which I do believe is also a limited release. But I think it's still in stock a lot of places because people don't really want to buy it just because of the Rhino, in my opinion. The Felgor Beastmen, they're Felgor Ravagers. They come in this box. You get 10 of them. It's a kill team, so it's kind of overpriced. And I'll concede that. Buying a Rhino, I'll concede that. It's not worth doing. But if you're going to be buying Raiders, you really should just do the right thing, get a bundle box. And if you really can't stand that concept, just buy it from your local game store. I know you can probably get like a small discount on boxes like this from like Amazon and places like that. But just support a local business. Your local game store does a lot for your community. And even if you don't have one, just buy from a local or like a family-owned online store just to support those local businesses if you can. When it comes to stuff like this that isn't necessarily like busting down the door value. You just always want to go out of your way to buy it from a family-owned or local business, in my opinion. But yeah, thanks for watching the video, guys. It's been really cool to see that people actually watch the video. I made 2 of them so far, and it was just really like overwhelmingly positive reception, I think. And it felt really good to see that people actually watched and enjoyed that first video about the mutilator. So if you guys like this video and you want to see me talk about something else, go ahead and comment it down below. Go ahead and press the like button. Oh, you want to press the like button? Just go ahead and press that like button for me. I think it would be good. I don't really know enough about the algorithm or whatever to say, but so please subscribe. I'm gonna try to continue making little videos like this. They take me a little bit of time, mostly because I'm pretty inept when it comes to using a computer and doing video editing, stuff like that. As you could see, I'm literally editing or producing this video on a PowerPoint. So I'm a little slow to it. Thanks for bearing with me. I'm trying to set up a camera to get some like painting videos. I recorded probably like 7 hours worth of painting footage. But I'm just so terrible at video editing. It'll probably be a little bit before you guys see any of that. But in the meantime, if you want to see any more videos like this, or I was playing with the idea of like maybe like a tier list kind of thing, which I know is really overdone for YouTube, but I still love watching those to this day. So if you're interested in seeing anything specific or anything that I mentioned, go ahead and comment below. Go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching Squigonomics.